The air in Fosaville, a small community near Durban, is thick with the scent of sugarcane and the salty tang of the nearby Indian Ocean. But in the early 2000s, a different kind of smell began to cling to the area, the chilling odor of death. It started subtly, a whisper of something amiss, with the discovery of skeletal remains in March 2002. The bones, bleached white by the sun, lay hidden amongst the tall sugarcane fields that dominate the landscape. At the time, the discovery was unsettling, but no one could have predicted the horror that was to follow. Little did the community know, this was just the first chilling sign of a darkness that would soon grip their lives. A darkness that would leave an indelible mark on Fosaville and its people. The skeletal remains, found near a dirt road frequently used by farm workers, offered few clues. The police were unable to determine the cause of death or even the identity of the deceased. Was this an isolated incident? A tragic accident, perhaps? Or something more sinister? The questions lingered unanswered in the minds of the Fosaville residents. Life went on, albeit with a newfound sense of unease. The sugarcane fields, once a source of livelihood and comfort, now held a silent threat. August 2003. The humidity hung heavy in the air, a precursor to the summer storms that would soon lash the coast. A controlled burn, intended to clear an overgrown field near the previous year's grim discovery, instead ignited a nightmare. As the flames died down and the smoke cleared, a scene of unimaginable horror was revealed. 5 bodies lay sprawled in the charred earth, their remains ravaged by both fire and time. 4 were nothing more than skeletons, stripped bare by the elements. The 5th, though partially decomposed, offered a glimpse into the brutality inflicted upon them. Panic seized Fosaville. The news spread like wildfire, carried on the humid breeze that swept through the sugarcane. This was no accident, no random act of violence. A killer, it seemed, walked among them. The police descended upon the scene, their faces grim, their every movement betraying the gravity of the situation. A team of forensic experts began the painstaking task of combing through the ashes, searching for any scrap of evidence that might lead them to the perpetrator of this heinous act. As the investigation unfolded, a chilling pattern emerged from the ashes and the stench. Each victim, all women, had been found face down, their hands bound tightly behind their backs. Plastic bags, eerie shrouds in the green expanse, were found covering their heads. The cause of death, the pathologist confirmed, was strangulation. Each detail, meticulously documented, painted a horrifying picture of the victims' final moments. They had died violently, their cries for help swallowed by the rustling sugarcane and the indifference of the vast African sky. The similarities between the cases were too striking, too deliberate to be mere coincidence. This was the work of a single hand, a killer who chose his victims carefully and ended their lives with chilling precision. The question that haunted the investigators, that echoed in the hushed conversations of the fearful residents, was why? What drove this monster to commit such unspeakable acts, and perhaps most terrifyingly, would he strike again? Identifying the victims proved to be a monumental task. The passage of time and the elements had taken their toll, erasing identities and leaving behind only skeletal whispers of the lives once lived. Dental records, often a reliable tool in such cases, were useless. The victims, it seemed, came from a place where such records were a luxury, not a right. They were daughters, sisters, mothers perhaps, lost in the anonymity of death. The police turned to the public, desperate for any leads that might help them put names to the faces lost to time. They released composite sketches, painstakingly recreated from the fragmented remains, and appealed to anyone who recognized the women to come forward. They scoured missing persons reports, hoping for a match, a connection, anything that might break the case open. But their efforts were met with silence, a silence as vast and unforgiving as the sugarcane fields that held the victims' secrets.